Well, my name is Saul Anuzis, and 2 years ago, Newt Gingrich asked me to chair the Anti-Card Check Project for American Solutions. And we happen to target 11 states around the country that we went into that happen to have U.S. Senate races up, and quite effectively put together grassroots organizations, primarily online, that were involved in the anti-card check legislation. And today, for all practical purposes, with the Workforce Fairness Institute and several others, you're in a position where even Democrats now are questioning the validity of card check, even though labor unions and the Obama administration continues to press on that issue. So what we had decided to do in Michigan back in 1998, after the Beck decision had been decided, the State Chamber of Commerce, ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors, and several other non-union groups launched an effort to basically educate workers on their Beck rights, and literally had hundreds of members in unions in Michigan turn around and request union dues that were designated for political purposes. On average, that runs somewhere between 18 to 20% of your union dues are currently paid for political contributions, and the union bosses decide whether they agree or disagree with you to spend the money the way they want. This has been a fairly controversial issue with many rank-and-file labor members. It is the biggest slush fund that labor has and can use in any way they want. 90% of the funds, traditionally as much as 98% of the money, goes against union members' opinions. If you take a look at internal polling done by the Teamsters has run up as high as 48% of their members any given year have identified themselves as Republicans, or at least as conservatives. If you go to the UAW, even the NEA now has over a third of their members who have joined a Republican caucus, which shows that they do not agree with their labor unions' positions on political issues. So what we've done is formed a 501c3 and have created a website called unionrefund.org. And we are making it extremely easy for any member, any rank-and-file member anywhere in the country to go to this website. You type in your name, you click on your state. Every union has been identified and electronically put into this database where you can find your union, click on a state, click on your union, fill out a form with your name, address, employer, and hit send. We will send, that letter will be printed out for you to sign and send. You also authorize us with a limited power of attorney to send a letter on your behalf to that union. And then third, we send a copy of that to the National Labor Relations Board. Now what that does is cause the labor unions, obviously, a tremendous amount of grief. Historically, we have found for every dollar that we have spent fighting labor in this, they will spend anywhere from $10 to $50 back trying to stop us. You could imagine, although we have nothing to do with the politics of it, as an educational force, if we happen to be targeting states that have a U.S. Senate race, or targeting states that have a gubernatorial race, or given the way the database is set up, we can go all the way down to the congressional level, go to a certain city, and pull up every local, as an example, in the city of Flint, and allow members to decide to ask for a refund of their 20% of that money back. Even some of the smallest unions are getting $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 that is truly their political slush fund that they use against the best interests of their members. We are going to give members a choice. So what we're doing is we're putting together a fundraising program, targeting it based on donors' interests in different unions, as well as industries, as well as cities, districts, states, etc. And this educational program, I think, is going to change the way labor unions are currently acting. Now, purely on a political standpoint, from a political standpoint, which is not my interest at this organization, but as a good Republican activist, I can tell you labor provides approximately 60% of all the funds used in the Get Out the Vote program. It is labor that funds the Democrats' program nationwide. If you look at any of the competitive seats in the country, labor is the dependent force that actually is used to turn out the races. In the next upcoming presidential election, there are 6 targeted states that labor will be responsible for on behalf of the Obama administration. If all of a sudden labor had to worry about hanging on to that money from their members, if all of a sudden labor were involved in making sure that their members aren't giving up their political slush funds, I think you would see a very different resource allocation on the part of the unions. So our goal is to educate the workers and also educate the unions that they're going to have a different battle on their hands, and that they ought to be worried about their rank and file workers. So if you go to unionrefund.org, and it's just one word, unionrefund.org, you can click on any state. Every labor union is done. We've worked with the National Labor Relations Board to get the correct addresses for every single one. It's being updated on a regular basis, and it'll be a phenomenal resource in that regard. We're going to take questions later. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, so if you could just hold. So I think it's pretty much that straightforward. I've had a lot of political people ask us about our willingness to go to certain areas, and obviously we are interested in participating wherever we can, but our job is going to be purely educational. It's a 501c3. We can take corporate money. It's all non-reportable. We will not advocate for any candidate or any party or anything else, but I think it will be an educational purpose that will serve the Republic very well. Thank you very much.